Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. It's my hope that what you learn here is going to help you understand all the issues that make these relationships so difficult and so damaging to our minds, our hearts, and our health. So we've been doing a series on the different types of enablers. Now today we're going to take on what I actually think is the worst kind of enabler of all. These are the pollyannas. And these pollyanna enablers could also be immature and childish. But the reason I want to talk about all these different kinds of enablers is they're not all the same. So they present differently, and so by knowing the different types, you'd be more likely to know you're managing an enabler and understanding the harm that it's bringing into your life. Now, as we go through the different types of enablers, you will run into what I think are the most toxic enablers of all. And this just may be a personal bias. Now, it's interesting. This type of enabler is actually quite different than the enablers who are just ignorant and who don't get it. This type of enabler goes a bridge further. These are the enablers who just think everyone is great. We need to give people a chance. I'm sure nobody ever means to be mean, and I like to think of the best of everyone. Those kinds of enablers. These enablers are what we can call the immature and childish pollyannas. This is more than just not getting it. This is denial with fiction on top. These are interesting people because it's not as though that they are so immature or childish that they are not in adult roles and adult jobs. These are people who are sometimes bosses at work and administrators at schools and people who work with the legal profession and people who have influence over others, but are just those Pollyanna type, I just like to think the best of everyone types of people. Remember, Pollyanna is that childhood story character who just saw the best in everyone. Now, this is dangerous because it goes beyond just not knowing it. The people who are just plain ignorant or uninformed about narcissism, there's still the possibility that you might be able to educate them or open their eyes. The Pollyanna type folks like to put their fingers into their ears and say, la la la, do not puncture my view of everyone being nice and finding a way that I can soften their bad behavior so I can live in a world full of unicorns and butterflies. Now, there is something so appealing about living in a world where everyone is good, or you have the privilege of assuming that, and can maintain an equitable, loving, fair, just version of the world. I'd love to live in that world, or at least get tickets to be in that world for a day. The Pollyannas are the ones who magnify the sense of cognitive dissonance that so many people struggle with, that make justifying the narcissist's bad behavior so much easier, that leave us questioning and blaming ourselves. Like, damn, I really am a bad person if I view this person so badly, or I use bad words like narcissism, because this other person sees so much goodness in them. What is wrong with me? I'm a monster. In fact, I have seen the Pollyanna enablers be the reason that people stay in these relationships for years, even decades longer. There is a real shame that can be caused by Pollyanna types saying how there is so much misunderstood love and light inside the narcissist, and how that they themselves like to see the good in everyone. And here you are looking up videos on narcissism and psychopathy and arrogance. And what is so sad is that most survivors of narcissistic abuse will write themselves off as the ones who are monstrous, rather than seeing the Pollyanna's view as dangerous, which frankly it is. Now, where this type of enabling is most dangerous is when this Pollyanna enabler person is in a decision-making position. This can include people at high levels of decision-making, including judge or other advocates in family court, human resource professionals, arbitrators or mediators, people who do hiring or vetting people for new jobs or positions, decision makers in an organization that make recommendations on terminations, advancements, and promotions. The Pollyannas in these positions are often responsible for naive, ill-informed decision-making on the basis of their rosy worldview that is not informed by how these relational patterns work, and will sign off on unhealthy or downright dangerous custody agreements, will give a harassing, predatory colleague endless second chances, will set up re-traumatizing mediation meetings between perpetrators and those that they have harmed in the name of bringing everyone together and kumbayaing the whole mess, merely enabling the narcissist to go out and do more harm. They may keep doing this until someone gets really harmed, for example, assaulted or killed, and then they'll wring their hands and say, "Oh, goodness, I had no idea." Yes, you did have an idea. People were telling you. People were telling you how bad it was. And because you were behaving as the Pollyanna, as though you were at a theme park and are 6 and want to believe that you're in fantasy land, these Pollyanna enablers are more invested in their damn rosy worldview than they are in the realities of these antagonistic personality styles and the harm they do to other people. In the Pollyanna person's zeal to look for the love in the light in a narcissist, they effectively turn off everybody else's. And this gets most dangerous if the Pollyanna enabler is in the role of a mental health provider or a coach, someone that a person turns to, that they're vulnerable with, that they may talk about narcissistic abuse with. And then the person in the practitioner role makes it about, "Oh, goodness, well, there is good in everyone. Maybe you aren't looking hard enough because you did tell me that they took out the trash last week. Well, that's something, huh? Let's just turn that frown upside down and see that it isn't all bad. Marriage is hard. Marriages are about compromise. Well, maybe their love language is different. Please don't get me started." This nonsense is gaslighting and invalidation, and in a therapy relationship, it's also dangerous because it can infuse a person going through something in a narcissistic relationship with self-blame and self-doubt. The person who's going through it will say, "God, it's got to be me. Maybe I'm just not trying hard enough to find the goodness." It's not the job of a mental health practitioner or, frankly, a coach to be an unseeing, cheerful, naive cheerleader, but rather a theoretically and empirically driven reality check and intrapsychic tour guide, and certainly not a force in someone's life that plants doubt in a person. But compared to all of the other enabling types, the Pollyannas are the most powerful at leaving people doubting themselves. There is another form of enabler we'll be talking about in another video called the toxically positive enabler. I'll get to that. But this Pollyanna type of enabling is very societally supported. We just love the Jane Austen-esque characters who rather chirpily see the good in everyone. I have to say, as a girl myself, and then as I grew up, I desperately wanted to be this chirpy person, the chirpy, cheerful, everyone is good person. I have always, and still do, have a bit of a sour, cynical side. It's probably more than a side to me, which again, given how I grew up, makes 100% sense. And I actually want to give a shout out to that child in me that already knew to not to trust people too fast, and to be chronically suspicious. Given the elements of my own backstory, there was no way I could really ever get to Pollyanna. I grew up in too antagonistic system. Ironically, when I got into young adulthood, I wanted to be chirpy girl, so I tried to be the chirpy person for a minute, and I gave someone a chance, and I ended up getting stalked and harmed. I've never really tried to be chirpy again, and that was almost 40 years ago. People were and still are chirpy and cheerful and Pollyanna with me and my extended family. And they did and they do harm to me. I still doubt myself and I study this shit. It chills me to think about how the chirpy Pollyanna enablers do so much damage to the people affected by the narcissist and get away with it. And in fact are even applauded for it because they're so eternally cheerful and on their chronic quest for love and light, even if it means invalidating or denying the experience of someone who's been mistreated. At this point in my life, if people want to call me a cold-hearted bitch, get in line. I'm fine with it. Because let me tell you this, it beats the alternative. Pollyanna enablers are the patron saints of second, third, fourth, and fifth chances. And they're definitely the patron saints of the benefit of the doubt. They pull out all the cheerful rationalizations. Oh, come on now. They don't mean it. I like to see the good in others. I've seen some good there. Let's give it a chance. You never know, do you? Miracles can be found everywhere. And as you go on this grail quest for a miracle, your mental health is eroding, your sense of reality is fading, and you find it difficult to trust your basic instincts in basic situations. We waste so damn much time trying to find the good in the narcissists, psychopaths, and abusers of all kinds that we spend no time trying to see the good in ourselves. The Pollyanna enablers, under their cheerful, chirpy facades, may strangely enough be the most dangerous. Their endless positivity and sunshine and second chances can belie dangerous rhetoric, enabling, gaslighting, and invalidation. Sadly, their sunshine and rainbows approach can be so seductive. Listen, nobody wants to sit next to a sour cynic, but everyone wants to be friends with a cheerful, chirpy, happy person. If I were you, next time you walk into a room, look for the empathic cynic. Less chirp, more reality. Please, oh please, do not let the Pollyanna enablers need to keep the world looking so shiny undermine your instincts or lead you to shame, blame, or gaslight yourself. And give yourself permission to engage in reality-based problem solving on how to manage or get out of one of these situations. And the answers on how to manage a narcissistic relationship are anything but cheerful. The Pollyannas hate it when you say, this is never going to get better. Oh, no, don't say that. There's always a silver lining. Trust me on this one. Don't look for a silver lining in a narcissistic relationship. Find it in yourself, find it in the healthy people, and also, as you're cleaning house on the narcissistic folks, you might want to give the Pollyanna enablers the heave-ho as well. Thanks again.